Calgary at -2. Moving westward, Regina comes in at 1, Winnipeg -3, and moving into Ontario, Thunder Bay at 8, Ottawa at 10, Montreal 11, Toronto's the hot spot at 13, and out east for Margie, 8 in Halifax, and 3 in St. John's. And in our region, some temperatures today, Deep River was -1, Pembroke at +1, Renfrew, Ottawa, Hull, and Hawkesbury all in at 0. And now looking at the 5-day forecast, today it was partly sunny with a high of 10.
Showers at 6, Friday, mostly sunny and chilly at 2, Saturday, sunshine followed by clouds at 4 degrees.
Oh! It's Satan, the weather puppet. Get down here, you. Where is he? I'm sorry, folks. That was a little gift. We weren't too happy about it. That was Julie Christie from Holy Cow Roman Catholic School giving us that. We're not impressed, okay? Anyway, that's weather. Stu's up with sports next. Thanks a lot.
Action this weekend. The Eastern Division saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the Hamilton Tiger Cats 35-28. Amid snow and hurling wind, only 12,200 fans showed up, the smallest playoff crowd in Winnipeg in over 25 years. The Bombers advanced to the Eastern Final this weekend in Toronto this coming Sunday. And in the West, it was the BC Lions putting down the Saskatchewan Roughriders 42-18. That game was played in front of a crowd of 26,200 at Taylor Field, Regina. With the win, the Lions advanced to the Western Final against the Edmonton Eskimos on Sunday. The winners next weekend will go on to seek the title in the Grey Cup in Ottawa on November 27th. Well, the classic Monday night football match pitted the surprising 9-1 Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphin Air Attack, led by Dan Marino. Buffalo's quarterback, Jim Kelly, proved he was among the best passers in the league, throwing for over 400 yards, including 3 touchdown grabs. Marino countered with 2 touchdown passes and a rushing major. It wasn't enough to stop the surging Bills, however, as a Cornelius Bennett fumble recovery late in the fourth quarter led to a 17-yard strike from Kelly to wide receiver Andre Reed with only 9 seconds left in the game. Buffalo takes it 24-21. Well, the Ben Johnson story is back in the spotlight. At 10 a.m. this morning, Ontario Associate Chief Justice Charles Dubin was to open the federal inquiry into drug use in sports. The inquiry was set up under the Federal Inquiries Act after Sports Minister Jean Charest promised a thorough investigation into the Johnson affair. Dubin's mandate is far-reaching, allowing him to subpoena witnesses and records, force testimony under oath, and explore the use of drugs and banned practices by Canadian athletes. Among those called were Shirley B. Johnson, his coach Charlie Francis, his doctor Jamie Estevan, and sprinter Angela Isajenko. That's sports. LJ, what do you make of it?
Sounds good to me.
Satan says hi.
Taking all 5 seats in the Ottawa-Carleton region. Big upsets include Mac Harb defeating incumbent Michael Cassidy in Ottawa Centre, John Manley defeating Tory incumbent Barry Turner in Ottawa South, Liberal Burl Gaffney defeated Bill Tupper in Nepean, former Alderman Marlene Catterall defeated Tory incumbent David Dobney in Ottawa West. And in the newly created riding of Carleton Gloucester, Maureen McTeer, wife of Joe Clark, was unable to create Canada's first husband and wife team in the Parliament. She lost to Liberal Eugene Bellemare. Liberals also surged in West Quebec. In Hull-Aylmer, Liberal Gilles Rocheleau was elected. Yet Pontiac-Gatineau went to Barry Moore. Regionally, Don Boudria was re-elected in Glengarry Prescott Russell, but Tory Paul Dick took Lanark Carleton. In Leeds-Grenville, Liberal Jim Jordan won, and in Stormont-Dundas, Liberal Bob Kilder emerged victorious. So locally and regionally, the big winner was the Liberals, the losers, the NDP, and the Tories. Some prominent and notable figures lost their seats last night. Former Cabinet Minister Flora MacDonald lost her seat in Kingston to the Liberals. Public Works Minister Stuart McInnes was defeated. Justice Minister Ray Natishan lost his Saskatchewan seat. and Environment Minister Tom McMillan also went down to defeat. And Solicitor General James Kelleher was bumped out of his Sault Ste. Marie seat. The Liberals lost prominent finance critic Raymond Garneau last night. The NDP also lost a few big guns last night. Among those, Lynn MacDonald in the Toronto riding of Broadview, David Orlico, a longtime member of the House, was defeated in Winnipeg, and Howard Pauley, Manitoba's former premier, was unable to win a federal seat. The NDP picked up former BC Party leader Dave Barrett. As well, all three party leaders were re-elected in their respective ridings. We'll have more reports on the election right after this.
Welcome to the weather. Today we have Whitehorse raining with -5. There is a low pressure system in Vancouver bringing in the rain with 8. And there is snow flurries in Edmonton and Calgary with 1 degree and in Calgary 0. Regina has -2. Winnipeg is -3, also with snow flurries. It's also bringing in the snow flurries into Regina. There is a high pressure system in Thunder Bay. It's -2. Toronto is 2 degrees, Ottawa is 1 degree, Montreal is 0 degrees, Halifax is 7 degrees, and St. John's is 4 degrees. The majority of eastern Canada is covered with snow flurries. The 4-day forecast is Tuesday, today, is partially sunshine, high 3, low 3. Wednesday is variable cloudiness, shower or flurries, high 4, low -2. Thursday, mixed clouds and sunshine, high 3, low 1. Friday, some sun, high 4, low 2. Also, there is a hurricane warning near Miami. It's called Hurricane Keith. The residents are supposed to be warned for the winds and pouring rain. So let me see. The weather will not be a problem in most country today. Cold air will filter in behind the storm system, leaving East Coast, bringing a few flurries from the Maritime Province. Now, next is sports with Scamp.
Hi, I'm not Earl McGray. For 26,000 Toronto Argonauts fans, it was the perfect farewell to Exhibition Stadium. Soaked in the rain, watching one more crushing loss. Heavily favored and playing at VX for the final time, Toronto was clobbered by the upstart Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers set the tone early, gaining ball control and field position with Salisbury's short passing game. It resulted in a 4-0 Winnipeg lead in the first quarter on a 43-yard field goal by Trevor Kennard and Bob Cameron's 58-yard punt for a single point. The Bombers extended their lead to 11-0 with a brilliant call to close the first quarter. The Argos got back in the game with Lance Chomek's 39-yard field goal at 2:48 of the second quarter and received a major lift from their defense to close out the first half. Salisbury was 18 of 34 for 223 yards, directing a 297-yard Winnipeg attack. Winnipeg isn't showing Edmonton any respect. The Jets proved that Sunday night by spanking the defending Stanley Cup champions in a Smith Division clash. Rick Tocchet scored 3 goals and had 2 assists as Philadelphia ended a 6-game winless streak by defeating New Jersey. Tocchet was playing his second game after a 10-game suspension for a fight with the New York Islanders' Dean Chenoweth on October 27th. Tim Kerr added 2 goals 68 seconds apart to give Philadelphia a 3-1 lead in the first minute, marred by 76 penalty minutes. Kerr broke a 1-1 tie on a power play, tipping in Pelle Eklund's shot at 17:09. For his second goal, the NHL's leading power play scorer took a cross-ice pass from Derek Smith and lifted the puck over Devils goalie Sean Burke while the Flyers had a 2-man advantage. Tocchet increased the Flyers' lead to 4-1 when he tapped in Brian Propp's pass at 5:29 of the second period. Prop scored a 13:03 of the second period to give the Flyers a 5-1 lead. He had a slap shot from the blue line that bounced off the Devils' Joe Cirella into the net. And that's all we have for sports. And we hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. How about the weather, Sharon? What do you think?
Oh, we're in for a lot of snow. We're in for a lot of snow flurries today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to be coming with, a blizzard in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
With
So
a
it
cold
should be
front.
pretty scary.
Yeah, about, 10 feet of snow.
Well, thank you very much, Sharon. That's all the time we have. We'll see you tomorrow night.
10 feet of snow? Oh, no.
Good evening and welcome to the Algonquin News. Canadians have spoken on the free trade issue, and Brian Mulroney is promising to implement the trade agreement immediately. Prime Minister won his second consecutive majority government, but not without some losses. 6 Tory cabinet ministers failed in re-election bids, and Mulroney now faces an opposition of almost double its size. The Conservatives hold 170 seats and are leading in one riding. The Liberals have 81, more than double their feeble 1984 performance. The NDP won a record 43, including their first seat in Alberta. As seen in this province-by-province chart, the Yukon got 1 NDP seat. They only have 1 anyway. The Northwest Territories, their 2 seats went Liberal. BC had 20 NDP seats, 11 PC seats, and 1 Liberal seat. Alberta had 25 Progressive Conservative seats, 1 NDP and 1 Liberal. Saskatchewan had 10 NDP seats, 4 Progressive Conservative, and no Liberal. Manitoba, 7 PC seats, 5 Liberal, and 2 NDP. Ontario, 47 Progressive Conservative seats, 42 Liberal, and 10 NDP. Quebec, 63 Tory seats, 12 Liberal, and no NDP. New Brunswick, 5 Liberal seats, 5 Progressive Conservative seats, and no NDP. Nova Scotia, 6 Liberal, 5 Progressive Conservative, and 0 NDP. PEI had 4 Liberal and no NDP or Tory seats. And Newfoundland, 5 Liberal and 2 PC seats. Prime Minister Mulroney won't have time to savor his hard-won majority. He needs to pass free trade legislation before January 1st. Liberal leader John Turner said he did his best, but it wasn't enough to win. The NDP leader Ed Broadbent conceded his party didn't do as well as expected. Liberal trade critic Lloyd Axworthy says the Tories may have won a majority of seats, but it doesn't mean a majority of Canadians support the free trade deal. In an interview with CTV's Canada AM, Axworthy squared off with Employment and Immigration Minister Barbara McDougall. Both were re-elected. McDougall says the Tory victory means all systems are go for free trade. She says she doesn't foresee any changes to the free trade legislation. That's it for the news. Weather is next.
Canada's heat wave continues. North and south, east and west, Canadians are getting the sunshine's best. In British Columbia, they got the highest temperatures today. Throughout the province, people were exchanging alpine skis for surfboards. Okay, Vancouver reached a high of 35 degrees. The capital reached a high of 34 degrees. Calgarians are fretting about their winter fest. If temperatures continue at 32 degrees, any events involving snow will be out of the question. The folks in Saskatchewan say the warm weather is God's heaven sent. It's making up for that early crop-destroying frost of last month. Temperatures in Regina reached 30 degrees. Similar temperatures were felt in Manitoba, and here in Ontario, people are heading to the beaches all around the province. In Toronto, the temperature was 30 degrees. The temperature was 29 in Kingston, and T-shirted Ottawans received a temperature of 31 degrees. Many government institutions and schools were closed down because of the humidity. The province of Quebec felt similar temperatures, Montreal reaching a high of 30 degrees and Quebec City just slightly lower at 29 degrees. Only the Yukon and the Northwest Territories experienced cooler temperatures. It was 22 degrees in Yellowknife and only 20 degrees in Whitehorse. These wonderfully unusual temperatures can be attributed to a warm front coming from the Gulf Stream, and you can expect these sunny, dry, warm temperatures throughout the week with zero precipitation. For the Ideal Weather Forecast, I'm Genevieve Spicer.
That was really good. That was really good.
So I couldn't
In
even know
football.
what I was pointing at.
In football, the Winnipeg Bombers upset the Toronto Argonauts 27-11. For the 27,000 Toronto fans, it was disappointing considering that the Argos have earned a reputation since 1952-82 of building fans' hopes only to choke in the end. But as for the Winnipeg fans, their wishes have come true. In the West, BC Lions torpedoed Edmonton Eskimos 37-19. This is BC's first ever playoff victory over Edmonton. Edmonton's only touchdown was scored by defense lineman Brett Williams in the first quarter. In hockey, Winnipeg over Edmonton 7-4. Edmonton's coach Glenn Souther wasn't happy with the loss considering that he has experienced players making big mistakes. Philadelphia Flyers pumped New Jersey Devils 7-1. Detroit Red Wings over Boston Bruins 5-4 in overtime. Just 45 seconds left in overtime when Steve Yzerman scored on a pass from Paul McLean. Vancouver Canucks beat Chicago Blackhawks 7-4. Here at home, the Ottawa 67s edged the Cornwall Royals 5-3. The 67s moved into third place in the Leyden Division. Andrew Castles led the 67s as both an offensive and defensive spark plug. Castles picked up a goal and 3 assists. Castles also received first star of the game. This has been the Algonquin News. On behalf of the cast here, we'd like to thank you very much for being here. Please join us tomorrow morning with the Algonquin AM News.
Somebody want to close the door and maybe turn out the house lights.
Good evening and welcome to News Edge. The Tories romped to a decisive election victory last night as voters delivered the sweeping majority government Prime Minister Brian Mulroney needed to press ahead with his cherished free trade. The Conservatives won 169 seats in the expanded 295-seat Commons. The Liberals won 82 seats, while the New Democrats were once again third with 44 seats. Mulroney's stunning election win marked the first time in 35 years that Canadians have elected back-to-back government majorities. The Conservatives did lose some high-profile cabinet ministers, including Communications Minister Flora MacDonald in Kingston and Environment Minister Tom McMillan in Prince Edward Island. Every once in a while, the populace to the south of the 49th parallel are just reminded that the whole world does not want to be just like them. Anti-American tone pervades Canadian race was the headline in Sunday's Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper. Canadian nationalism is basically anti-Americanism, stated a commentator in Washington. Shocked by this realization, Americans are now gasping at how patriotic we are. This from a nation whose leaders had just engaged in public boasting, breast-beating, flag-waving, and demagoguery of a presidential election. A series of raids following a sting operation in Montreal has resulted in the arrest of 5 men and 1 woman. A Montreal man faces weapons charges from after authorities from Canada and the United States netted police 100 submachine guns, 2 bazookas, and 2 kilograms of explosives. One of those arrested was a businessman who apparently had obtained official licenses to import semi-automatic weapons from his store. They were then converted to automatic. The sudden death of Cristina Onassis in Argentina won't change the shipping and real estate empire, founded by her father Aristotle Onassis, according to several members of a multinational board. The private fortune is estimated at between $500 million and $1 billion. Yes, it was. And the fortune is controlled by Cristina Onassis and her half-brother Alexander Onassis. Oh, yeah. Okay. The death of the 37-year-old Harris will apparently make her 4-year-old daughter Athena one of the world's richest people. An American who escaped to Canada after he was charged with murders of 2 teenage girls more than a decade ago is expected to be questioned today by agents from the FBI. 35-year-old Joseph Arlen Shepard, named on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, was arrested Friday by London, Ontario police. He was identified by an acquaintance from photographs on the U.S. television Unsolved Mysteries. The moral to the next story is that there's always hope. 4-year-old Bobby Rogers was found Sunday morning 2 frosty nights after kicking off his waterlogged boots and wandering lost in swamp-strewn bush near his parents' Hillvales, Nova Scotia home 50 kilometers west of Halifax. Bobby told RCMP investigators he was glad to be found. We'll be back after this break with Andrew and the weather.
Good day and welcome to the News Edge Weather Break. I'm Andrew Craxford, your weather host. Let's start over at the west coast where we have a low pressure front moving through central British Columbia with giving temperatures of 10 degrees with rain stretching all the way down the Sunshine Coast. Behind that we have a warm front stretching through the middle of the prairies, high today of 3 in Calgary and 2 in Edmonton. In Regina we have a high of -2, -2 again in Winnipeg, 2 degrees in Thunder Bay, 4 degrees in Toronto, 3 degrees in Ottawa, which will be a low tonight of 0, so wear your fur. 3 degrees in Montreal, 1 degree in Halifax, and 2 degrees in St. John. The Ottawa 5-day forecast, sunny with some cloudy periods, chilly tonight, a high of 3, a low of 0. Wednesday, a high of 4, a low of -2. Thursday, a high of 5, a low of 1. Friday, a high of 6 and a low of 1. Saturday, there will be flurries. This has been Weather Break. Thank you.
Broadcasting. Mickey Mouse celebrated his 60th anniversary today. Disney World invited 4,000 children to the Magic Kingdom for the festivities. Minnie Mouse was by Mickey's side for the occasion and for the cutting of the cake. Elsewhere, Jim Mouth of Los Angeles attempted to smoke 143 cigarettes at a time to publicize the dangers of smoking. Mouth said, quote, "The stunt was performed to show the absurd side of smoking, which is ugly and hazardous to health," unquote. Above the border, Robert and Janet Jessup from Queensville, Ontario, are painfully going back in time. Their 9-year-old daughter, Christine, was the victim of a sex slaying in 1984. This week, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled that Guy Paul Morin, the man acquitted of the girl's murder in 1986, should stand trial again. If you asked 4-year-old Bobby Rogers what the word long shot meant, he probably couldn't tell you. But the child is living proof that sometimes hope can beat the odds. Bobby was found 2 frosty nights after kicking off his waterlogged boots and wandering lost in swamp-strewn brush near his parents' home in Hillsville, Nova Scotia. Bobby was taken by helicopter to Halifax for treatment of his frostbitten hands and feet and was said to be in generally good shape. Bobby said it got cold at night and that he always went to sleep when it got dark by crawling under a tree. RCMP Bob Foley said Bobby told him he was chasing a neighbor's dog when he got lost in the woods. He went across the stream and after getting his feet wet, took off his boots. Bobby said he was scared a number of times by noises in the woods at night while trying to sleep. Daytime he traveled, he said he didn't have anything to eat or drink. The oldest human in the world turned 114 years old. A woman who spent most of her life in Florida State Mental Hospital will receive certification as the planet's oldest human from the Guinness Book of World Records. Carrie White, born November 18, 1874, near Tallahassee, lives at Putnam Memorial Nursing Center in Palatka, south of Jacksonville. Diagnosed as suffering from post-typhoid psychosis, White was committed to the Florida State Hospital at Chattahoochee the day after her 35th birthday and remained there 75 years. Marjorie Allen, White's legal guardian since 1984, said she is just beginning to piece together the puzzle of her friend's life. There is believed to be a lot of mystery which hints that White's hospitalization might have been unnecessary. Allen says White is a free spirit and she might have been like the Virginia Slims lady, ahead of her time. Okay, up next, after this commercial break, we will have Mary Carroll with the weather.
Well, Ottawa, it's time to get those winter coats out of storage and time for us to think about going into hibernation. Temperatures recently have been very chilly this side of the equator. A large high-pressure area from the Dakotas is coming our way, bringing lots of sunshine and temperatures near normal. A major storm system, unfortunately, is headed towards the Maritimes, so they'll be getting all the old sloppy stuff we've just had. Lucky them. A bit further south, we'll be keeping an eye on Keith. It may be upgraded to a hurricane. It's currently a tropical storm. Since Keith may be upgraded, we'll keep all of you snowbirds posted in case you're headed that way. Further south yet, vacation spots, Kingston, Jamaica, and Acapulco, Mexico, are leading the highs with 32 degrees Celsius. Honolulu is, however, still quite acceptable at 29. Is that the sound of bags being packed, I hear? In Canada, Vancouver is plus 10 and wet and sloppy. Calgary, minus 6. Edmonton, 0. Regina has been fogged in. And the coldest spot, unfortunately for Canada is, or the folks out there, is Churchill, Manitoba at minus 21. Glad I don't live there. There were scattered flurries through much of northern Ontario. Timmins had a low of minus 5. Toronto is almost balmy at plus 3. Montreal at 1. The Maritimes, as I said, will be receiving some of our yesterday's weather, and the temps will range from 0 to minus 2. Overnight in Ottawa, we can expect a low of 6, precipitation near 0, skies will be cloudy, and some flurries are possible. The 5-day forecast for Ottawa is Wednesday. The Dakota High will be bringing sunshine and a few clouds off. Few clouds. High of 4. Thursday and Friday, expect some flurries and possibly showers, highs of 3 and 4 respectively. Saturday, possible showers or 2 for those pregame parties. Keep them indoors. Sunday, Grey Cup Day, above average temperatures and possible showers. Join us after the commercial break for Victoria Boone and sports.
Good evening. The official start of Grey Cup is to begin on Wednesday. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who won against Toronto on Sunday 27-11, will be playing the BC Lions. Toronto not making the finals will perhaps lessen the attendance of the game due to their geographical location and the usual east-west rivalry. Preparations are underway by the city for the big day. The question is Ottawa really ready to host this game? The CFL is to name a new commissioner for the league. They say that they won't announce the new replacement for Doug Mitchell until after the Grey Cup game. At this time, there is probably no successor lined up for the position. Last night in New York, Guy Lafleur played with the New York Rangers against his old team, the Montreal Canadiens. The emotion of this special game at night did nothing to help the Rangers, Lafleur's new team, who allowed 2 power play goals and failed to convert on 4 power play opportunities of their own. Guy Lafleur scored the first goal of the evening for the Rangers. This did not put them ahead. New York lost to Montreal 4-2. Also in NHL hockey last night, the Blue Bombers played the Leafs. The score for the game was 4-0 with the Leafs winning. 7th-ranked Jimmy Connors will undergo foot surgery that will force him to miss the season's ending Masters Tennis Championship. Tournament director Eugene Scott said Monday. Connors' lawyer, Yvonne Blumberg, said the player will have surgery within 10 days to remove bone spurs from both feet and repair ligaments damage in his right foot. He is having the surgery now so he can have maximum recovery time for next season. Skiers in the Ottawa region should be happy due to the snow on Sunday night and the horrendous storms occurring in the Quebec region. So if you haven't got your skis done, go out and do it. It's an ideal time. That's Victoria Boone. Good night.
Good afternoon. Soviet officials are facing another massive cleanup effort as the result of a strong earthquake that struck the Central Asian Republic of Tajikistan. The quake, which measured 6 on the Richter scale, destroyed buildings and triggered mudslides. One village is said to have been buried under 14 meters of dirt and mud. TASS, the official news agency, estimates the death toll at 1,000, but that figure is expected to rise. Toronto's Pearson International Airport has been making news recently because its facilities have been stretched to their limits. As we hear in this report, there is talk of dusting off plans to build a second airport near Pickering.
Since the federal government expropriated the 18,000 acres of prime agricultural land in 1972, citizens have fought a successful battle to preserve the rolling rural landscape, and they remain steadfast.
This is absolute nonsense. We don't want another Mirabelle in Toronto. We can't afford it.
The federal government is increasingly pressed for a solution to Pearson International's overcrowding, questionable safety, noise, and pollution, but they're getting conflicting advice from local politicians.
The first cruise missile test over Canada this year is taking place today. A U.S. bomber will be launching the unarmed missile over the Beaufort Sea, and that missile is to land near CFB Cold Lake in northern Alberta. Greenpeace and other anti-nuclear and peace groups that would normally be protesting the flight will instead be concentrating their efforts on lobbying the federal government to ban all further tests. The race is on to see who will succeed Brian Peckford as Premier of Newfoundland. Among the more prominent politicians rumored to be interested in the job is Federal Transport Minister John Crosbie, who has disavowed leadership aspirations in the past. The 46-year-old Peckford is retiring from politics after 10 years on the job. The act of murder is a tragedy, but that act is made more tragic when it is committed by a juvenile. Today, that juvenile walks the streets. Kevin Newman describes one such tragedy in the Toronto suburb of Scarborough.
In many ways, it's a picture-perfect suburban neighborhood. But as the days of January pass, memories of a horrible day here 3.5 years ago grow stronger. Police were called to this home after neighborhood children told their parents of a gruesome tour they'd been given by a young man. Inside the house was a murdered family. A 14-year-old boy was convicted of first-degree murder and sent to a juvenile jail for 3 years, the maximum sentence under the Young Offenders Act.
And finally, Canada's Kevin Spraggett won the second game of his World Chess Championship quarterfinal match on Sunday. The first game with challenger Artur Yusupov of the Soviet Union ended in a draw. Spraggett is the first North American to make a serious run at the title since Bobby Fischer won the championships in 1972. Artur Yusupov. Well, that's it for news. Coming up next, Rob Dominic with the weather.
Hi, I'm Paul Ferguson, producer of ATV's Mucho Video, and I've scoured the world looking for a video host suitable for you video junkies, and I think I found him in Bucky Russo. I'll introduce him to you right now. Come on in, Bucky. This is my pal Bucky Russo, and you'll see him April 20th on ATV's Mucho Video. Take care, guys.
Put on no display, an angel know, but I know my way.
Hi, I'm Rob Dominic, and I'm your meteorologist. Canadians rejoice. This is going to be, or rather this is one of the warmest winters ever in our history. Usually the low is in at about minus 15 and the high at about minus 5, but it's unseasonably warm right now. There's a storm system originating in the Northwest Territories, which is sweeping across parts of Manitoba and Ontario, bringing with it a little bit of snow and sporadic flurries, only a couple of centimeters though. There's a gusty northwesterly wind which will bring cold air into the Maritimes later on today, making them pretty cold later on this week. But the clouds will be pushing down, so we'll be getting some sunny breaks mixed with just a little bit of cloudiness. And temperatures across the region and nationally, it's a minus 24 in Yellowknife and minus 22 in Whitehorse, but it's always cold there, so they're quite used to it. Edmonton, it's 0. In Vancouver, envied by all Canadians, plus 7, and 2 in Calgary. Regina is in at minus 3 and Winnipeg at minus 4, and Thunder Bay is in at plus 1. It's pretty nice there. As we move further south, it just gets warmer and warmer. In Toronto, it's plus 4. In Ottawa, it's plus 2. Montreal is plus 1. The Atlantic provinces all weigh in at minus 6. and it's considerably colder in Quebec City, where it's minus 17. Regionally, we have beautiful weather and +2, and the 5-day forecast is, for today, it's sunny with a bit of clouds and a high of +2. Wednesday, we have a high of +3 and a low, and that is the weather, and we'll be coming right back with Luke with sports. Thank you. Thank you.
So, just talking to here? Okay, hi, my name is Andrew, and I am lonely. I have a lot of personal problems. Nobody likes me. I don't have any friends or even acquaintances for that matter. That's why I bought some time here at the network. I want anybody, just anybody, to call me at 1-800-I-ANDREW and leave me a message here at the station. I'd really appreciate it.
Good evening. Well, Super Bowl 23 has come and gone, and with it, the San Francisco 49ers have firmly placed themselves on top of the NFL. Joe Montana led the 49ers to their third Super Bowl victory of the decade, engineering a 92-yard drive in the last few minutes of the game as they defeated a competitive Cincinnati Bengals team 20-16. Jerry Rice accounted for 51 of those last 92 yards to give him totals of 11 catches and 215 yards, both Super Bowl records. That was more than enough to earn him MVP honors. It was the most memorable and exciting Super Bowl to watch in recent memory, and the Bengals were mostly responsible for that. The surprisingly stingy defense shut down the heavily favored Niners early on, and they held leads of 13-6 and 16-13 before eventually bowing out. The debate for and against a AAA baseball franchise in Ottawa still rages on. City officials and aldermen offer different points of view on the situation, and as seen in this report from Michel Dubois, area residents also have mixed feelings.
Some feel taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be used to lure a AAA team to Ottawa. Others support the startup cost, saying we'd all benefit in the long run. Potential spectators are similarly divided.
I think if we had a baseball team that was good or aligned with a good professional team, or even if it was just a good quality team to go see it, and people will go see it.
I don't know if we can really afford to bring in minor league baseball to a city that doesn't accept minor or major leagues.
On an abbreviated NHL schedule last night, the Buffalo Sabres took sole possession of second place in the Adams division as they defeated the Boston Bruins 6-4. Rick Vaive had 2 goals for the Sabres. And in the only other game, the Detroit Red Wings snapped Washington's 6-game unbeaten streak as they beat the Capitals 4-3 in Landover. Steve Yzerman collected 1 goal and 1 assist. Mark Calcavecchia shot a final round 64 en route to his 7-stroke victory at the Phoenix Open golf tournament. Calcavecchia, who self-destructed at last week's Bob Hope Classic, started the round with a 3-stroke lead and never looked back, finishing with a 21 under par 263. He received $126,000 US for the victory. And that's sports for this evening. Join us tomorrow night with Rob and Tim for Newsline.
Good afternoon. Soviet officials are facing another massive cleanup effort as a result of a strong earthquake that struck the Central Asian Republic of Tajikistan. The quake, which measured 6 on the Richter scale, destroyed buildings and triggered mudslides. One village is said to have been buried under 14 meters of dirt and mud. The official news agency TASS estimates the death toll at 1,000 people, but that figure is expected to rise dramatically. Toronto's Pearson International Airport has been making news recently because of its facilities are being stretched to their limits. As we hear in this report, there is talk of dusting off plans to build a second airport near Pickering.
Since the federal government expropriated the 18,000 acres of prime agricultural land in 1972, citizens have fought a successful battle to preserve the rolling rural landscape, and they remain steadfast.
This is absolute nonsense. We don't want another Mirabelle in Toronto. We can't afford it.
The federal government is increasingly pressed for a solution to Pearson International's overcrowding, questionable safety, noise, and pollution, but they're getting conflicting advice from local politicians.
The first cruise missile test over Canada this year will be taking place today. A U.S. bomber will be launching the unarmed missile over the Beaufort Sea, and the missile is to land near CFB Cold Lake in northern Alberta. Greenpeace and other anti-nuclear and peace groups that would normally be protesting the flight will instead be concentrating their efforts on lobbying the federal government to ban all further tests. The race is on to see who will succeed Brian Peckford as Premier of Newfoundland. Among the more prominent politicians rumored to be interested in the job is Federal Transport Minister John Crosbie, who has disavowed leadership aspirations in the past. The 46-year-old Peckford is retiring as Premier after 10 years on the job. The act of murder is a tragedy, but when the act is committed by a juvenile, it is made even more tragic. Kevin Newman describes one such story in the Toronto suburb of Scarborough.
In many ways, it's a picture-perfect suburban neighborhood. But as the days of January pass, memories of a horrible day here 3.5 years ago grow stronger. Police were called to this home after neighborhood children told their parents of a gruesome tour they'd been given by a young man. Inside the house was a murdered family. A 14-year-old boy was convicted of first-degree murder and sent to a juvenile jail for 3 years, the maximum sentence under the Young Offenders Act.
Kevin's Canada Sprague won the second game of his World Chess Championship quarterfinal match on Sunday. The first game with challenger Artur Yusupov of the Soviet Union ended in a draw, a serious run at the title since Bobby Fischer won the championship in 1972, defeating Alexander So-and-so of Russia. That's all for the news. Coming up next is our resident weather person, L.J. Clark.
Hi, I'm Paul Sigerson, producer of ATV's Mucho Video.
Good afternoon, sports fans. For the third time this decade, the San Francisco 49ers are the Super Bowl champions. The 49ers won the game 20-16 over the Cincinnati Bengals before 75,000 fans. And this game should go down in history as being the most exciting Super Bowl. Roles and positions in hockey standings were switched this weekend as Buffalo swept a home-and-home series from Boston. The Bruins, known for years as one of NHL's best come-from-behind teams, blew a 4-goal lead in Saturday's 6-5 overtime loss in Boston and a 1-goal lead in Sunday's defeat. As a result, Buffalo moves past Boston in second place in the Adams division. The Boston Bruins have traded left winger Jay Miller to the Los Angeles Kings in exchange for future considerations, the team announced Sunday. Miller, 28, was signed by the Bruins as a free agent on October 1st, 1985, and played 3.5 seasons with Boston. Miller had 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points and 168 penalty minutes this season. Well, it looks like Ottawa will be getting a AAA minor league baseball team as well as a new stadium. CJOH's Michelle Dubois files this report.
Some feel taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be used to lure a AAA team to Ottawa. Others support the startup cost, saying we'd all benefit in the long run. Potential spectators are similarly divided.
I think if we had a baseball team that was of good or aligned with a good professional team, or even if it was just a good quality team to go see it, and people will go see it.
I don't know if we can really afford to bring in minor league baseball to a city that doesn't accept minor or major leagues of any sort.
In basketball action, the Celtics rolled over Detroit 112-99 for their 7th consecutive victory on Super Bowl Sunday, a game that was not very widely watched. The Celtics survived an 18-point second quarter and rebounded to average a 96-87 loss at Detroit last Monday. I guess that's it. That's all we have time for today. On behalf of the whole news team, I'd like to thank you, and please join us tomorrow night.
It was a hell of a newscast, Tim. Congratulations, buddy.
The San Francisco 49ers are Super Bowl champions. The 49ers won the game 2016 over the Cincinnati Bengals before 75,000 fans in a game that should long be remembered as the most exciting in Super Bowl history. Roles and positions in hockey standings were switched this weekend as Buffalo swept a home-and-home series from Boston. The Bruins, known for years as one of the NHL's best come-from-behind teams, blew a 4-goal lead in Saturday's 6-5 overtime loss in Boston and a 1-goal lead in Sunday's defeat. As a result, Buffalo moves past Boston into second place in the Adams division. The Boston Bruins have traded left winger Jay Miller to the Los Angeles Kings in exchange for future considerations, the team announced Sunday. Miller, 28, was signed by the Bruins as a free agent on October 1st, 1985, and played 3.5 seasons with Boston. Miller had 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points and 168 penalty minutes this season. Well, it looks like Ottawa may very well get a Triple-A minor league baseball team, as well as a new stadium. CJOH's Michel Dubois files this report.
Some feel taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be used to lure a AAA team to Ottawa. Others support the startup cost, saying we'd all benefit in the long run. Potential spectators are similarly divided.
I think if we had a baseball team that was of good or aligned with a good professional team, or even if it was just a good quality team to go see it, and people will go see it.
I don't know if we can really afford to bring in minor league baseball to a city that doesn't accept minor or major leagues of any sort.
The Celtics rolled over Detroit 112-99 for their 7th consecutive victory on Super Bowl Sunday, with Robert Parrish scoring 12 points and Danny Ainge 10 during a 39-point third period. The Celtics survived an 18-point second quarter and rebounded to avenge a 96-87 loss at Detroit last Monday, and that is it in sports. Wow. Sounds very exciting. Yes, lots of stuff going on. Well, I guess that's all the time we have. So, good night.